Nobody who's ever tried to properly get lean before has thought to himself, yeah, that took just as long as I expected. Nah, brother, it always takes longer. Always. And that gap between what people think it's going to take and actually how long it takes, in my experience, is the #1 reason why people always drop off and never get that lean physique they actually want. Just wrong expectations from day one. And when reality doesn't match those expectations, most people just conclude something's gone wrong and sack it off completely. And even knowing exactly what I'm doing, even having coached people through this for years, it's still slower than that impatient part of my brain wants it to be. So here's what's actually going on and why nobody, not me, not you, or anyone else gets to skip this part. The first reason why getting lean always takes longer than you planned, you're probably starting from a further back point than you think, aka you got more body fat to lose, brother. I'm an online coach for a living, and nearly everyone that I've worked with underestimates how much body fat they actually have to lose. Not by a little bit, often by a huge amount. The guy who thinks he needs to lose 5 or 6 kilograms often needs to lose up to 10 or even 12, and sometimes even more. And because the starting estimate is wrong, what you got in your head, the whole timeline is skewed up. Part of the problem is the tools. Smart scales, body scanners, these consistently underestimate how much body fat you have. So you get a number that feels fine, you build a plan around it, and then the reality arrives about 6 weeks later when you're not where you thought you'd be and you can't figure out why. And I see this all the time with my own clients. Someone comes to me thinking they're around 18-20% body fat and thinking they only have 5 to 6 kilos to lose. But I do a proper assessment and they're anywhere from 25% to 30% body fat. And the amount of work ahead of them is a lot more than they anticipated, which can sometimes be a massive kick to the balls. But I'm honest and real with people. And the thing is, that doesn't mean you can't lose it. It just means the starting point is different to what you have in your head. So don't need to set yourself up on a bad foot. But finding that news out in mid-cut when motivation is already dipping is much harder place to receive it than before you even start. Because I want to set you up to win. But the fix here isn't to be disheartened by that. It's just going into the process knowing in 5 to 6 weeks, you're not going to be at that point that you have in your head. And that's not a reason to stop. That's a reason to dig deep and keep going. So here's an example with my client Aaron. He came to me already training in the gym for 5 years, but putting in the work and not really happy with what he saw in the mirror. So what we did, we were like, right, we need to take you through a cut and get lean properly. But it's not going to be a 6, 7, 8 or 9 week cut. I guarantee you it's going to take at least 12. So what we did, we got him lean in 12 weeks and we got him up to this point, and now he's looking like an absolute killer. But from the get-go, I was honest with him about how long it's going to take. So the expectations in his head, he knew the timeline that we were working towards, and all he had to do every single week was execute. And that was my job, making sure he got to that position. And now we're reversing out into a next phase to make sure he holds onto those results and gets to the next point. Because it's all well good and getting lean, but if you don't take yourself through a reverse phase, then you can blow that lean condition that you had easily in a few weeks of just going off plan. So if you want to speak about a reverse phase, I'm probably going to make a video on this. Just drop me a message on Instagram. I can always give you some value on that as well. The second reason is fat loss doesn't happen in a straight line. The scales will fluctuate every single day and constantly lie to you. And most people's relationship with the scales is not set up to handle this. Clients message me literally every single week. Like, James, the scale's gone up. I'm losing it. I'm flipping out. I'm like, brother, chill out. It's just the daily weigh-in. Track the average and then we go from there. Because I think it's a bit of a taboo thing. Guys never actually speak about this. Women, on the other hand, their relationship with the scales has never been great, and most people know that. But on guys, they just think, oh yeah, I can handle it if my scale weight's going up and down. But the same goes for guys. It's going to fluctuate through many different reasons. Stress, when the last time you went to the toilet, when the last meal you had, if you had a more saltier meal, how your sleep was when you last trained, fatigue, so many different things. There's a long laundry list of things. So don't flip out just because the daily weigh-in is higher than the other day. Focus on the average, and it's never going to be linear. It usually goes like this. The first week or two, scale weight drops quickly and you're really motivated. You're like, hell yeah, this is working. I hate to break it to you, brother. A big chunk of that early drop is just water weight. Your body is depleting its carbohydrate source and dragging 3 grams of water out of every gram of glycogen. So the results probably feel drastic. You're like, wow, I've dropped like 2 kg in the space of 2 weeks. But it's often just water weight. Then it slows and the water's gone. And now you're actually losing the fat tissue where it often slows down. And suddenly you're dropping 0.5 kilo a week instead of 1.5 kilos. This is literally what's supposed to happen. But it feels like something's gone wrong. I promise you it's not the case. Then there's going to be weeks where the scale weight doesn't even move at all when you think you've done something wrong, and people flip out and start giving themselves loads of cardio or slash their calories. But it could be so many different reasons. Like I said earlier, stress, maybe you had a saltier meal when you last went to the toilet, maybe hard training, maybe you hold on some fatigue, and the scale weight picks up all of that, and it has nothing to do with fat loss. I weigh myself every single morning and take the average, and I've been doing this for years now, well over 5 years to be honest. And that average tracked across the week tells me what is actually going on. The trend over time is everything. 2 or 3 weeks and the scale weight isn't moving, they think, what's the point? I'm just going to sack it off, which is completely fair if you don't know what's going on. If you understand why it's happening, it's literally just a flat period. It doesn't mean you've hit a plateau, but you only know this by tracking the data. What's measured is managed. This can be the difference of you finishing the cut and getting that lean physique that you want, or not at all. Reason number 3, most people don't know this, but your metabolism is just not a fixed thing. It adapts and it changes. When you drop your calories, your body doesn't just sit there and burns through fat to compensate. It adapts, it gets more efficient, and this all happens with your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is basically just your non-exercise movement. The fidgeting, the walking about, the general restless, the tapping of your feet. I don't know about you, I always tap my feet underneath my desk quite a lot. Your body burns fewer calories at rest. Hunger hormones increase. The hormone leptin, which regulates both hunger and energy expenditure, drops, which means you're stimulating more hunger and burning less. The result of that means the deficit that you started with gradually shrinks, even if you haven't changed anything. A 500 calorie deficit in week 1 might be 300 calories by week 8, purely because your body has quietly adapted to the new intake. And the wrong response, which is what most people do, is panic, cut their calories drastically to try force to keep everything working. And that makes the adaptation worse, it makes hunger worse, and it just leads to you sacking it off sooner. There's different tools that we can use to mitigate this. The right response is either reduce calories slightly, bring activity up slightly, aka steps or cardio, or you can even run a refeed where you bring up your calories for a day and run a high day of calories. But all these tools like a refeed, going back to maintenance, adjusting cardio, they're case by case, personalized. It's not a one size fits all. That's exactly what I help with my guys within my coaching. But if you run one of them, it should help you get out of this period. Reason number 4, which is a tricky one to manage. Life just doesn't stop just because you're cutting. And what do I mean by this? You'll have bad weeks. You'll have weeks where sleep is terrible, work is relentless. You'll have weekends that get away from you, stag do's, holidays, birthdays. And the last thing you want to do is manage what you're eating. These are not obstacles to getting lean. They are part of getting lean and things you have to manage. The mistake is building a plan that only works when life is easy. If the approach requires perfect conditions to function, eating the same meal every day, no flexibility, no social life, it will hold up brutally for around 3 weeks. When real life arrives, the whole thing collapses. Now, you're not just dealing with a hard week, you're dealing with a hard week plus the feeling that you've failed, which is the worst place to be. This is not me saying that you can't go out and get lean. This is me saying sometimes you're going to have to make sacrifices and manage social occasions well, because nobody got lean by accident. Knowing what to do in the space of a bad week rather than writing the whole week off. Because the people that stay in shape and get lean, they just know what to do straight back after they mess up. Because let's be honest, no one's a robot. There's going to be bad weeks, and it happens to the best of us. For example, I had my best mate's wedding 2 weeks ago, very early stages into my cut, and I knew it was going to be heavy with drinking and eating. So what I did on the lead up to that, I added more exercise into my mix with cardio and steps. And also for the day of the wedding, I banked as many calories as possible. Skipped breakfast, just focus on high protein for lunch, and it allowed me to bank calories. So sometimes you have to make the sacrifice of managing these social occasions and also getting straight back to the plan the next day. I didn't order a takeaway. I didn't sack off everything else the next week. I got straight back to it as quickly as possible. And that's because fat loss is a skill. Make sure you are persistent, you stay consistent, and you adapt to different situations. You want to be fluid like water. So what does a realistic timeline look like? So let's actually talk numbers, because I think no one's upfront about realistic fat loss timeframes, because they're all just trying to sell you something and get you into their program. I just want to be straight up here. Let's get it clear. Fat loss is not meant to be sustainable. Ideally, and my approach, I always go more aggressive because I want to get people in and out of that phase as quickly as we can so they can get back to maintenance, get back to building. Because if you're in a diet all year long and you don't even have that much body weight to lose, then doing it slow and steady is just a shit way to set yourself up, because it means progress is going to be slow. It means you're spending longer in that phase. You're going to mess up your hormones, and realistically, you want to be in and out as quickly as you can. So that's why I would die on the hill. Aggressive, fast fat loss always wins. But it still always takes longer than you think. And to give you like a transparent timeline, everyone is slightly different. If you got 10 kilos to lose, if you got 20 kilos to lose, you're gonna have different timelines. And some people can take the aggressive approach a lot more better than some people that have a lot to lose. Maybe they need a slightly slower approach. For a quicker rate of fat loss, that could be anywhere from 0.5 to 0.8 kilograms per week on a faster level. Or for someone, it could be 0.3. Everyone is slightly different. But how I do it, I'd rather you lose more and get out there quickly. So for example, someone that's got 10 kilograms to lose, and maybe they're gonna lose that at 0.5 kilograms per week, that is gonna take 20 weeks. And most people will plan that in an 8-week period and get frustrated when they don't lose as much as they want. So the people that actually get properly lean and not just lose a bit of weight, but I'm talking lean, are the ones who accept the timeline from the start and didn't panic when week 6 looks like week 4. Nothing's gone wrong, it just takes time. That's what I wanna get in your head from this video. So what actually keeps you going throughout a cut? Let me tell you, my friend, it's definitely not motivation, because trust me, that ship is going to sail fairly quickly. What keeps people going is understanding what's happening and why at every stage, so the difficult bits make sense and don't feel like failure. Knowing the scale weight will stall, and that is normal, and knowing what to do next. Knowing early results will slow down, and that's normal. Knowing your metabolism will adapt and knowing what to do about it. Knowing setbacks will happen and having a plan for when they do. Measuring the right things. The scale is one data point, not the whole picture. You need to be tracking your progress pictures, how your clothes fit, your lifts in the gym. These things paired together give you a far more honest reading of what's going on and the bigger picture. Because I know for a fact from myself and my guys that I coach, some weeks the scale weight's barely moved, but you can look so much leaner. And some week it drops and you look no different. The trend across everything, across 3 to 4 weeks, is the main thing that you want to be looking at. So whether you're at week 1 or week 6 now and you're getting disheartened, keep going, bro. Trust the process and make sure you track these variables so you actually understand what is going on. Or another thing you can do is get a coach in your corner that knows what he's doing. That's why I have a coach myself, and I will always preach everyone can take so much value from having a coach which knows how to do the result they're trying to work towards. That's what I do for a living. I get guys lean. I've got hundreds of results. I know what to do, and I want someone to do the same for me, because I want to take the brain power out of it and have actions that I just need to hit every single day, every single week. So don't discredit the value of having a guy that cares about your goals just as much as you in your corner. And that's what I do for my guys. I want to see them win. So if you're about to start a cut or you're midway through and you're feeling like it's slower than you thought, hopefully this video made this feel a lot more normal and understand what is going on. The people who actually get lean aren't the ones with the best genetics or the most willpower. They're the ones who went in knowing what they're signing up for and kept going when things get uncomfortable, because trust me, they will. I'm documenting my own cut week by week at the moment. What's working, what's not, what you can copy to implement in your own journey, and how I'm managing everything. If you want to follow it in real time, drop that subscribe button below so you don't miss any of it, brother. And if you want a coach in your corner that cares about getting you lean and has done it hundreds of times with other people, then drop me a message below and we can have a chat about it. If not, YouTube recommends you watch this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. In a bit, people.